Hello chess friends and lovers of chess, welcome to an amazing chess game played in the year 2002. This game was played between Magnus Carlsen, who played the white pieces, against Tor Gulbrandsen, who played the black pieces. I used this game to celebrate Magnus Carlsen, who actually turned 32 years old today. Happy birthday, Magnus Carlsen. Magnus Carlsen has been the reigning world chess champion since 2013. This game was played when he was just 12 years old, and that was 20 years ago. Let's take a look at this game and enjoy the masterpiece Magnus Carlsen created in 2022 against a very strong opponent, Tor Gulbrandsen. Magnus Carlsen with the white pieces started with pawn to e4, e6 by black, d4, d5 comes up, and we have the terrace French defense on the board. Knight to d2 by Magnus Carlsen, knight to f6, e5 attacking the knight. Black continued with knight to d7, knight on g to f3, c5 comes up, challenging this pawn in the center, c3 solidifying the pawn in the center, knight to c6 adding more pressure to that pawn in the center, bishop to d3, queen to b6, and now we have this pawn being under pressure. Magnus Carlsen castled, keeping the king out of the center, and black proceeded with pawn takes pawn in the center. Magnus recaptured in the center, knight takes the pawn in the center on d4, knight takes the knight on d4, queen takes the knight on d4, knight to f3 defending this pawn and also attacking the queen, queen to b6, queen to a4 comes up by Magnus, queen to b4, queen to c2, queen to c5. Black wants to trade off the queen on the board and play queenless since he is one pawn ahead. Queen to e2, bishop to e7, trying to create room for the king to be castled the short side. Bishop to e3, attacking the queen. Queen to a5, bishop to g5, trying to trade off this bishop off the board. Queen to d8, queen to e3, bishop takes bishop on g5, knight takes the bishop on g5, queen to e7, rook on a to c1, h6. We have come to one of the deciding moments in this particular game. Feel free to pause this video and figure out the continuation played by Magnus Carlsen at 12 years old. This is not easy to spot, but Magnus Carlsen, who has started surprising the chess world when he was 12 years, played like Mickey Tall in this game. Can you spot that move? Great. The knight here is under attack, and a very rapid response by our modern chess player would be to keep this knight out of danger. But here Magnus Carlsen went on with queen takes the pawn on a7. On this move, if rook takes the queen instead, then rook takes the bishop on c8 with check. The only move, queen to d8. After rook captures the queen, king has to capture, and now knight takes the pawn on f7 with check comes up. King moves and Magnus will pick up more materials, and from here Magnus is winning. Rather, in the game, black decides to go with rook to b8. This is another awesome position. You can also pause this video at this point and try to figure out how Magnus Carlsen continued. Magnus, as at 12 years, is already deadly and dangerous on the chessboard. I wonder how he trained and get such insight. Well, Magnus went on with capturing this rook here. He took the rook on b8. Everybody was shocked and surprised at the kind of vision Magnus Carlsen had. The game went on with knight takes the queen on b8. Rook stormed in the back rank and took the bishop on c8 with check. King to d7, Magnus picked up the rook on h8. This Magnus knight is still under attack, and here black has only few forces to fight in this game: the knight and the queen and the pawns. So if black takes the knight here, Magnus will take this knight. Well, in the game, black decided to go on with knight to c6. Magnus continued with knight to f3 too, keeping his knight safe. f6 comes up, bishop to b5, pinning down the knight. After pawn takes the pawn on e5, bishop takes the knight on c6 with check. Pawn takes the bishop on c6, knight takes the pawn on e5 with check. King to d6, rook to e1, protecting this knight. King to c7, g3, creating room for the king to come into the game. Queen to b4, going after this pawn here. Magnus defended well with rook to e2. d4 comes up, rook to d8. Queen to b5, going after this rook here. Rook to d7 check. King to c8, rook to e4, going after this pawn. c5 follows, defending that pawn, and here Magnus Carlsen finds a way to finish up this game with rook to f4, going after mate e1 once the rook lands on the f8 square. Black decides to prolong the game with queen takes the rook on d7. Magnus captured the queen on d7. King captures the knight on d7, and it was at this moment that Black resigned this awesome game. Magnus Carlsen has dropped and started a legacy 20 years ago, and he needs to be celebrated. Join me in wishing the reigning and the active world chess champion happy birthday on his day, today the 30th of November 2022. Feel free to drop a congratulative message in the comment section below. Let's celebrate our world chess champion. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.